Podcast. The original logo, Mike wrote it, and I'm joined today by the eclectic gentleman Stephan Watts.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Big Mike, pleasure to be here.
Thanks for coming on the show today and sitting down and talking.
Of course, anything for you, man.
So you're involved in so many different things with content creating, wrestling, and just convention. How did it all come to be?
Idle hands are the devil's workshop, my friend. I gotta stay busy. So conventions, so comic conventions and just conventions in general. I used to do a lot of that when I was younger. And then my daughter became of age to really get into that stuff, and she wanted to start cosplaying and stuff like that. So it was just something that her and me could do together, and just became, part of our regular routine, stuff to look forward to. So, and to be able to share that with my daughter in my 40s, right? My teenage daughter was special. So, and I'm a performer at heart, right? No matter what. So I get to dress up and make people's day by going to these conventions dressed up as different things.
Some of them I've seen the posts you've made of your daughter. She dressed as Velma at one of the conventions. It was a while ago now. What comes into picking the costumes and creating the costumes?
So for Ray, that's a whole nother ball game for her. It's whatever she likes at that moment in time. For me, I've been doing variations of Deadpool for the past handful of years. Because Deadpool in the multiverse, right? So I think that first year I did Bob Ross, the guy who paints the happy little trees. I did Deadpool cosplaying as Bob Ross. People loved that so much that it ended up getting copied at a lot of different conventions. So that was interesting. Then I think the year after that, I did Deadpool on summer vacation. So had lobster slides on, and Hawaiian shirt, and had a unicorn floaty around my waist. And then last year, which went with her Velma cosplay, I did Deadpool running for president, and I was wearing a big old suit of the American flag and walking around the convention with her trying to be my vice president. And we were just going around conventions saying, vote for Deadpool and Velma. So a lot of fun.
I know, like, people who do cosplays at conventions, they spend a lot of money making their costumes. How much effort goes into making y'all's costumes every time?
So Ray puts a lot into hers, and money. Whereas for me, for the most part, I work at Salvation Army and I love thrifting. So I thrift the majority of my stuff, or try to, and then supplement it by buying different things and so forth. Now she'll make things for her cosplays and so forth. I don't got the time with as busy as I stay.
Oh yeah, I know you're very busy with the Salvation Army.
Indeed.
Other interests with wrestling?
Yeah. Salvation Army. So basically, I run at this point the world's largest, and it depends on the month, but second to third most profitable. And I hate that word profitable, because all of our proceeds go to our rehab center and so forth. So I do that, and then I'm a peer counselor for guys who are looking to get themselves off of addiction and drugs and alcohol. So
and it's good work you do. I try to keep up with what you post, and it's like you do a lot of stuff, and a lot of it goes unnoticed, and it should get more notice.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But, it's given back because, the drugs and alcohol and addiction got a hold of me at one point. So now I'm able to help out people and give back from, the situations that I was once in. So I can give them advice and help them get out of it themselves.
Yeah, and I know you also you do a lot in the wrestling world too. You're involved with a lot of stuff with them too.
Indeed. I've been blessed to be in and around this business since I was 12. I grew up, obviously, watching wrestling in the 80s and so forth, and just I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it. And had the pleasure of going to a few shows and getting into this business thanks to Captain Lou Albano, who, lived in and around where I lived in New York. And I got the opportunity to, with him, because he ran monthly shows and so forth, and also rented out a ring. So I was part of his little ring crew for years, setting up rings, helping set up for shows, being street crew, putting up signs and so forth, and then getting to bump around the ring for a while and learning and going from there. Then eventually getting my formal training at Kaida Pro in Manassas, Virginia in the late 90s, early 2000s. Got to do that. Got to be a weekend warrior for some time, but after a while, it was time to settle down, have a family, and, turn into more of a wrestling historian than anything else. So I still stay active inside the business the best I can. I've got, I do graphics for a lot of promotions. I will go and help set up rings and so forth because my son, age 16 at 6'5", well over 200 pounds, is fixing to get into the business. So we try to be involved and bring him around and so forth so that he can start learning now how to act in a locker room and how to act around the boys.
Because there's so much drama that goes behind that curtain that no one sees.
There's a lot, but this gives him a foot in the door, gets him the opportunity to see how things go and interact with some of the guys. So, and he's had some great interactions and some great advice from a lot of the guys. So it's been great to be able to share that, how I share cosplay with my daughter, to be able to share wrestling in the business with my son. It is great. I'm a blessed man with that. So,
who is he? I have to ask, who is he training with right now?
So he's 16. So I'm holding off on the majority of his training. He's got to focus on football this year. Was just named starting right tackle for his varsity football team. So we're going to focus on that right now. But it looks like we're going to go Maryland Championship Wrestling as his training school.
Is he going to focus on football and wrestling? Like when he's going to be more focused on wrestling?
It looks like we're going to focus on wrestling, being the focus when he graduates. So, it's up to him. I'm not gonna be that dad who, I didn't get to make it, and force him. So he'll make his decision. But I think his heart's set on wrestling.
So I gotta go back and ask. You said you did a lot of stuff in New York. How was it back then? Like getting to interact with wrestling fans back in the 80s and 90s back in New York?
So it was interesting. So New York, you got your wrestling, and you had your Golden Gloves almost every weekend. So, in and around there, Golden Gloves boxing. And fans, I know people have this idea of New York fans being rabid, almost like the Philadelphia fans. But while they were loud and they enjoyed the show, I think, and I've been to a lot of different shows in a lot of different places. New York fans are some of the most respectful, some of the most intelligent wrestling fans, at least in the 90s and early 2000s, that I've ever seen. They appreciated it a lot, especially after the shows, just interacting and how they were with a lot of people. And then for me to have the pleasure of being in and around Captain Lou, Greg the Hammer Valentine, that surly bastard, with his gimmick table and stuff like that. And I was always there to make sure, do you need any water, sir? Do you need any of this, or so on and so forth? While he was a surly bastard, he was a good guy, so getting to interact with a lot of those people was, at being a young teenager, amazing, to see that and get to see the interactions, and then having the pleasure of getting in that ring and learning things here or there until my formal training down here in Virginia was a dream come true, especially for someone my size, because I'm not a big guy. I'm 5'7", and at that point maybe a $150 soaking wet.
Oh yeah, I just had to ask because wrestling and boxing in New York is such a rich history, especially Madison Square Garden. So I had to ask.
Madison Square Garden. I think you and me have had this conversation before. I'm a blessed man. My stepdad at the time used to get us seats in Madison Square Garden, and this is the old Garden setup. So before the big stages and so on and so forth, he'd get us tickets, and back then they would come through the side entrance, where the basketball players and so forth would come out. I think you could see it on a lot of the old pay-per-views, especially that one Royal Rumble where Cena came back. I think that was like the last time they used that. He would get us those tickets right above the entrance. They were rather cheap, believe it or not. And you could see them come out, like I'd see their heads and so forth. And it was right centered in the ring. And it was a pleasure. I remember getting to see Kurt Hennig wrestle Scott Hall. I used to give Scott Hall so much grief whenever he would come out, daring him to throw his pick at me and so on and so forth. And he would, but he'd always miss me. And there was this one time he managed to get me, and he finally looked up at me and he's like, "I finally got you, you little bastard."
Did you keep the toothpick?
No, I was silly, and I was still a young teenager at that point. I should have.
All right. Did your dad or you keep any of the tickets from those shows?
I'm sure Dad has some somewhere. I was horrible when I was younger, about like any teenager, didn't understand what they would mean later on as far as a memory goes. I just thought, hey, I'm getting to go to Madison Square Garden a lot and seeing these shows, and I thought all that was normal, going to see Golden Glove fights every weekend, going to see the wrestlers, either at indie shows or at Madison Square Gardens. I thought everybody got to do that. Little did I know later on that, I was blessed for that.
I know we talked about this the other day. There's going to be some stuff you can't talk about. Is there anything, like, can you give us some snippets of what you can talk about with what?
So, are we talking about WFIA?
Yes, we are.
All right. So, WFIA, so Wrestling Fans International Association. So, I am now their social media coordinator, director, whatever you want to say. Um, so, WFIA is one of the oldest fan organizations in all the world for professional wrestling. They started in 1967, and the whole idea of wrestling conventions and so forth, that was them. So they would have conventions all across America once a year, and the boys would be there. Harley Race, countless people, right? Fabulous Moolah, all that other stuff, award ceremony, banquets, so on and so forth. Very similar to Cauliflower Alley Club. I can't speak today. But they're the ones who really kicked off and did that. And of course, as time goes on and the internet came along and kayfabe was, no longer around, they kind of went away. But now, over the past couple of years, they're back, and I've had the pleasure of nabbing the ability to be their social media director. Thankfully, a friend of mine, Chris DiCarlo, was working with them. Old tape trading friend of mine. Yes, I'm that old. And he suggested me for it. And, it's like a dream job. I get to, because I love wrestling history, I love this business, and put WFIA back out in front of everybody. We are looking to become a nonprofit soon, and we're looking to help out those legends who, have fallen on hard times, and being able to help them out with what they need. And, hopefully within, a year and a half from now, be able to start those conventions up and being able to have the fans all come, get together once a year for a big convention and see, and interact with, the legends of, the past, the current stars of today, and future stars. I think that's going to be important as well, and differentiate us from others, helping take care of those legends, helping support the current stars, and helping, those who are going to be future stars. So WFIA, we have a $50 dues a year, but when you join WFIA, you get discounts on the merchandise. You get a monthly magazine with articles you're not going to see anywhere else. Trust me, some of these articles are in-depth, amazing, not just wrestling history, but of the independents, going all across the nation. So it's value for your money, and you get an autograph of a legend that you get to choose off the website. So to be able to be with such a historical organization, for me, is a pleasure and an honor.
That sounds like a dream come true for any wrestling fan who wants to have their foot in the door doing something.
It is. It's a pleasure. It's a dream for me, to be able to take my love and my passion of this business and help a legendary group like WFIA. So, definitely check us out. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, Instagram, X, and of course, everywhere else you can dream to be. We've got our own website, WFIA.org. Go check us out, and we hope everybody becomes a member, because when you become a member, once we become a nonprofit organization, everybody's dues and so forth, merchandise sales and so forth, will go to taking care of, the legends of the past.
I know there's been a couple of legends that have fallen on hard times in the last couple of years. The two that come to mind immediately are Buff Bagwell and Perry Saturn.
Indeed. Buff most recently having that leg amputated. God bless him. And the few interactions I've gotten to have with him, he's always been such a positive personality and always a smile on his face. And, I wish him nothing but the best. And then Perry, to come from the dark times that he's come from, his addiction and so on and so forth, and being homeless, and now him getting past that. And that's an accomplishment, near and dear to my heart with the work I do, outside of wrestling.
Like, cause I remember when he was having the homeless stuff come up, I remember watching the video he posted that he doesn't know where his next meal is going to come from. And then just out of nowhere, you had like guys like Chris Jericho donating to help him.
Yeah, I will say this, the wrestling community will come together and take care of each other. It is amazing. I think the wrestling community as a whole, when it gets down to brass tacks, when we're not talking about tribalism, I hate the tribalism. But when it comes down to brass tacks, when one of our own, whether it be wrestlers or social media members, or just fans as a whole, we will come together and support each other. That's the wrestling community, and I'll say the convention community and the cosplay community and so forth, the nerdom or geekdom community. I think those are the two communities that are the most accepting and the most supportive of each other.
Like you said, when the chips are down, like I've seen fans come to, especially like that comes to mind. The most recent story that's come to mind is like with Carrie and Killer Cross. You saw what that caused, the movement it created.
Most definitely. And I don't like to throw shade because I'm the positive wrestling personality, but how a company cannot capitalize on a movement like that is crazy. But he's already moving on. GCW last night, so that's excellent.
Mm-hmm. And you brought it up a little while ago, how kayfabe is not around anymore. Have you been able to watch the new Netflix documentary that WWE did, the Unreal documentary?
I have. So I might be one of the last of those old school enough to be taught and told to protect kayfabe, right? But I think because it's it's dead. I mean, there's no putting the toothpaste back into the tube, right? So it's out, and it's gonna happen. Can we protect it on the indies? Yeah, I think so. But as far as the big two, kayfabe's gone. Is it interesting for fans to see? Yeah, I think the more modern fan is as intrigued as to what happens behind the scenes as they do what's on air. So it's interesting to see how it's done, I guess, for the fans.
Do you think this hurts WWE pulling back the curtain on their own power?
No, at this point, we've got to look at WWE like this. WWE's in the business of making money, and it was just another opportunity for them to make money. And you know what? This we get into this business to make money. When it's all brass tacks, this is a business. So God bless them. They're trying to find every avenue to make that money. And like I made the analogy earlier, we can't put the toothpaste back into the tube. So, and they're going to do what they're going to do to make money in every avenue they can. So God bless them with that. It's not what I would have done.
Do you think this would be something you would see Vince do if Vince was still running everything?
No, Vince wouldn't have done it. Just like, and I can give you proof that Vince wouldn't have done it. The ads in the ring. Okay. AWA used to do it. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying it hasn't been done before, but Vince was asked about that years ago. Hey, AWA was doing this as a different way of making money. It's a different avenue for money. And he said he'd never do it. So there's proof right there that I think if somebody went to Vince and said, hey, let's do a behind the scenes show, for X amount of money, I don't think he would have done it.
Do you think he would have done all these, like how WWE has all their stuff spread out across so many different platforms? Like you have WWE on Tubi for Evolve. You have WWE on Peacock for Saturday Night Main Event. Now you're going to have WWE on ESPN for all their PLEs, pay-per-views, whatever you want to call them. Then you have WWE on Netflix for Raw.
No,
Do you think that'd be something he'd do?
I think Vince would have just focused on one contract, one television contract, maybe two, because you had SmackDown on one and Raw on another. But I really think it would have been one or two contracts, probably one cable and then one streaming, more than likely, with how things are nowadays. But that would have been it. I don't see him taking every different show and putting it somewhere else. Vince was a wrestling promoter. Vince wasn't a businessman as a whole outside of that.
Speaking of partnerships, we got to talk about two of the biggest partnerships right now in professional wrestling. You have WWE that just bought AAA, and you have their current deal with TNA. Do you think with them having the deal with TNA, we see WWE potentially buy TNA, or TNA get a better TV deal out of this partnership?
I definitely see them getting a better TV deal out of this. It makes sense if the rumors are true, and it's just business. Them trying to get AEW not to renew their their current contract, the current contract that AEW has, and to get TNA to that secondary promotion. Do I think that's going to happen? No. I think AEW is here to stay. I think AEW is the second promotion and will be the second promotion continuously going forward. But I do see TNA getting a better TV deal. And that's great. That's great for us wrestling fans. As far as the AAA thing goes, WWE has been trying to get into the lucha market or the Hispanic market forever. And buying AAA gets them that foothold. Being a AAA fan and seeing the product from a year ago to the product to now, it's different. The production value is amazing. But for them to say, we're not going to change AAA, we're just here to help you with the production value, that's not true. As we saw at Triple Mania, it was half WWE roster and half AAA. So I enjoyed the product, but it's not the AAA of last year. It's not. It's not as bad as WWE ECW, but you couldn't call that ECW. You're not going to be able to call that this AAA. You're not going to be able to call it AAA as it was.
Because back when I think 5 years ago, when WWE was still doing the NXT UK, they kind of killed UK scene for a while when they were doing that.
They most definitely did, and it's just now recovering to the heights that it was at. They most definitely really killed it, and then it was the vacuum of and they even took a lot of the young talent at that point. So there was a good 3 to 5 years there where talent had to be trained or get experience to reach that level. And we're now seeing it, thank goodness. But it'll be interesting to see if WWE follows the same suit with Great Britain this time, in England and so forth, in Europe, where do they go and just buy one of the top promotions like they have done with AAA to get their foothold in there? So global expansion is going to happen one way or another with them over the next 10 to 15 years. It'll be interesting to see if this AAA experiment is the way they do it.
Yes. Speaking of WWE and AEW, what do you think about WWE putting a main roster pay-per-view PLE against one of AEW's big pay-per-views next month?
As a wrestling fan, the counter programming is frustrating because I'm not pulling out the second TV and doing the Raw and Nitro thing on that. I'm gonna have to choose which one I'm watching then and which one I'm watching later, and then I've got to stay off social media, which is hard as a social media director. So it's frustrating as a wrestling fan. As someone who understands business, it's smart. It's smart business. So as you've been hearing me say, there's the wrestling fan in me and the person who loves this business, and then there's the business side of it. And I get it. WWE is in the business of making money. AEW is too, don't get me wrong. But as a wrestling fan, you've got to look at both sides. And if you don't, then that's where the tribalism comes in. And then that's where all the frustration and getting at each other happens.
Like, we're seeing it today because you have another thing happening today. We have NXT's pay-per-view PLE going against Forbidden Door today. I'm having I have AEW on my TV right now, and I'm going to watch Heatwave later.
There you go. For me, I'll have AEW that I'll watch probably tomorrow. But unfortunately, being on social media, I already know certain things that have happened. So I'll watch that over the next couple of days. Heatwave, it'll be a toss up. It'll be, do I watch it live or do I watch it during the week? Because, well, as most people do, it's a Sunday afternoon. I got to get ready for the work week.
Yeah, no, everyone does. Yeah, I can't afford to. I do this. We don't get paid for this. What we're doing right now, we don't get paid for it.
Right. Exactly. We do it for the love of it. So
you see, and that's what really irks me, because you have some of these guys and girls who do the content like full time. It's like It's nice for them to be able to do it full time.
Right. So these people who do, who are blessed to be able to do this full time, and that's how they make their money. Um, the what culture guys complain about it all the time right now, with as much content as there is, and how much they've got to, constantly be watching all these different shows and so on and so forth. So I couldn't imagine having to do all that.
Oh no, not at all. I know back when I first started doing this podcasting stuff, you were one of the first people I reached out to help get it off the ground. Like you made the intro to my original podcast, All Things Wrestling.
Yep, you and me. I've been supporting you and your content and your journey for what now? 2-3 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I've moved around so much doing the content. I've built my TikTok up, working on it. I've built my Instagram, and between Instagram and TikTok now, I'm sitting at almost 10,000 followers between the two.
That's beautiful. I'm so proud of you, man. I remember you and me having late night talks right after pay-per-views, going into 2-3 o'clock in the morning, just shooting it. So you've come a long way, my friend. I'm proud of you. And just keep the grind, because you and me have talked about that sometimes. The grind can be the hardest thing.
It can. Like, you've taught me off the edge of walking away. Like, I've thought about walking away, just saying, no, I'm done. I'm not doing it no more. It's not worth my time.
It is, I have 2 other YouTube channels, not involved with WFIA, that I've been running for years now. So the first one was Pro Wrestling History Brigade, which was just me and my old videotapes, uploading my old videotapes and so forth to get, wrestling that, might not be out there anymore, or you don't have to dig into the old WWE archive. And now that the archive's not easily available, I have stuff up there that you can't see anywhere else. And that stuff doesn't bring me money, because that's all copyrighted stuff. But I have it up there so that people can see it, watch the old history and so forth of the business. And then, my other one, Wrestleography, that's been daily wrestling history, different in-depth things and so forth. Right now I'm on a shorts kick, to give you pro wrestling history all within, that 3-minute window, daily history. And I started that where I challenged myself for 1 year, every day, to do a long form wrestling history. And it was a grind, every day, whether I was sick, whether I was grumpy, whatever it may be. For that whole year, I did the research, I wrote it out, and for a whole year, every day, it was who was born this day, who passed away, and the big moments for that day in pro wrestling. And it was a long form content. And, initially it didn't get that many views and so forth, but I kept at it when I wanted to give up. And now, doing the shorts and stuff like that, the shorts go on fire and so on and so forth. So it's just keeping at it, whether it's YouTube or, I do a lot of writing right now, especially for the WFIA magazine and for different pieces and so forth. And you just got to keep at it. You never know what's going to really hit or resonate with the audience. I wrote a piece 2 months ago on Jay Youngblood, the what if of Jay Youngblood and the potential, because of course he passed away before I felt he could hit his true potential. And that has it was the first piece I've ever done in media that went over 1 million people viewing it.
Like, I made a reel on Instagram the other day just because with my content, I don't just do the wrestling anymore. I do a little bit. I cover movie news. I cover big news stories. And one of the things I posted was about gaming. It was about the new Lego Batman game coming out in next year. It got 70,000 views.
Beautiful. See, and you never know what's going to hit and what's going to resonate with those fans. So you keep at it, and anybody who's listening to us, if you have a passion for something and you're doing this, you're not going to get those 70,000 views right off the bat.
No.
You just got to keep at it, keep plugging at it, make sure it's your passion, and eventually something's going to hit, and it's just going to keep going from there.
I've taken so much of your advice that you've given me, and I try to use it when I make every post. I'm like, okay, what can I do to make this post better than the last, and this one better than the next?
I appreciate it, man. I do. The fact that you call me your wise man is humbling.
And you brought this up a few minutes ago not a few minutes ago, maybe about 20 minutes ago now, the tape trading days. There's this guy I follow on Instagram. He takes so much of the new content, like the current product that you see on TV, and he puts like their pay-per-views on tape. I'm like, that is so, you don't see that. Like, he's putting their stuff on the tape and like making it old school again. I'm like, dude, that is so cool to see someone still want to try to keep it old school.
Most definitely. There's to be able to have that archive for yourself and for everybody else is going to be important. The digital age is obviously here, and I think a lot of people are thinking that, it's there, it's going to always be there. Well, we thought we were always going to have the WWE network and we're going to be able to access the WWE archives at all times. We're not now. So to be able to, those of us who were those tape traders and so on and so forth, now we're like, oh, wait a sec, we're important again, to be able to get this stuff up on there. And the fact that there's someone who's doing that for now is important, that they have the hindsight to go, wait a second, okay, I see what's happened with some of the older content and it's not available anymore. Let me go ahead and preserve that now is so smart.
Like, they make they make the whole DVD case and everything for it. Like, not DVD, but tape. Like, they make a cover for it and everything. It's like they take the time and effort to do it.
That's creative, and also the nostalgia value of something like that is great.
Like, I remember right before it started going away, like, I remember going to Blockbuster on Friday nights, renting 1 or 2 movies for the weekend.
Yeah, those were the days, man. I remember those. I've had a lot of those hit in my heart right now. Hold on. Oh, I don't have my wallet on me. I still have my old Blockbuster card. I keep it in my wallet. But those, of course, those memories are awesome. Being able to go to Blockbuster on a Friday night, or even a video store, because in New York, when I was around, we didn't have a lot of Blockbusters, but going in and being told, okay, you can pick one movie, and if you're lucky, if you're good, you could pick one video game, right? And getting my boys, and okay, what wrestling, DVD or tape are we going to watch? And I rented WrestleMania 4 so many times that eventually the owner was just like, keep it. You're the only one who rents it. Just keep it. So I still have it in my keepsake box. So that's but being able to do that, those memories, I remember renting that and Chrono Trigger for SNES for you Japanese RPG fans, which just had its 25th or 35th anniversary. I can't remember. So
I know this is when I was a teenager. Now they had you had the whole Redbox era of DVD renting, and now it's like this last year or two they've phased them out. You don't you see them at Walmart or Dollar Generals, and now they're all gone now too.
Yeah, our 7-Eleven just across the street from me has it, but it doesn't work anymore. So time keeps on going and things keep on ramping up. But maybe physical media might be making a small comeback, especially in the wrestling world. I think it's going to make a small comeback. Maybe not tape trading again levels, but those of us who put things up on the internet, I think is going to be important in sharing that information, because ain't none of us going to be making money off of it because it's copyrighted material. But we're not putting it up there to make money. We're keeping it up there to keep it alive.
Mm-hmm. Like me being I'm a gamer. Like one of my passions is gaming. Like you see so many of these new consoles now. They don't take a disc or anything anymore. There's like you have to buy it on the digital store. I'm like, I don't want to buy digital games. I want a physical copy in my hand.
Mm-hmm. That feel of true ownership is important, and unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that with most things. So, what's to say if the Microsoft store or the PlayStation store goes away? You'll no longer have those games. Going back to my nerd side with comic books and so on and so forth, there's all these comic book websites and so forth to read comics and catch up. But I want the physical copy in my hands. Mm-hmm. The smell, the touch, the tactile of it. And it's the same. It's the same way with physical media.
Like, speaking of comics and all, what do you think of the current state of like DC Comics and their films?
Unfortunately, I don't think that they've ever I haven't watched the new Superman movie, so don't quote me on this one yet. But up until then, the live action for me just hasn't hit. The first Wonder Woman movie I enjoyed, but other than that, I have not enjoyed a DC live action other than the Nolan Batman movies. Like I said, I haven't seen the new Superman. I know a lot of people said they enjoyed it, but they just haven't hit right to me. I think my DC is grittier. It's the Frank Miller of the world. For me, that's my DC is grittier, and they haven't been able to produce that for me. Now, the whole animated universe to me is the way they should have done the live action.
Like, for me, I don't like the new guy they have playing Superman. To me, he's not Superman.
He doesn't look like it. I know my wife looked at him and was like, "Who's that?" And I was like, "That's the new Superman." And she made a look. So someone who's not into superhero films but knows who Superman is, when they look at who's playing Superman and they go, "That's not Superman," then you're not appealing to the masses.
Henry day of this era.
You broke up there on that one, my friend. What was that?
I said, like, to me, like, Superman is like the Superman I grew up with in live action was Henry Cavill.
I got you. Mine, of course, I'm a little bit older, So it's Reeves. And I know Reeves didn't have a huge body or anything like that, but that his facials most certainly looked like Superman. This guy, I don't know, doesn't look like him for me. But maybe it's passed me by.
I'm surprised you didn't say like Kane. I'm surprised you didn't say Kane. Some people I've heard they say Kane or Reeves.
Yeah, it was okay. I think at that point for me, I was still so much into the animated movies. With Red Hood being one of my favorite, animated DC movies of all time, and how well that was executed and done for me.
Now, when we say live action Batman movie, like DC, like the Nolan Batman movies, I think will never be topped as Batman movies.
I don't think you can. I think those were told so well, cast very well, especially with all the major players in it. And I know I'm going to catch some heat from those my age, but Bale's my Batman. So to me, that was my Batman. When I read Batman, that's who I pictured. And then to be able to see that on screen, that just hit for me. And the writing for the beat to beat to beat, he knew what he was doing when he had the first one to where he ended. And I think that's something to be said in movies. And I think that's something to be said in wrestling, where you need to know when you start something, before you start it, you need to know where it ends. And then you can figure it out the middle, but you need to know the start and you need to know the end and then work from there. So, and when it's not done, then the results aren't that great.
I might catch some heat from your generation for saying this because of who my Joker is. My favorite Joker. It's not Nicholson. It's not Mark Hamill. It will always be Heath Ledger.
And I understand that. His portrayal might not have been traditional. But when you look at it, Nicholson's wasn't either. Each actor has been able to make it their own. I would definitely put him probably number 2 for me, but that's because my perfect Batman show as a whole, even with the Nolan films, the Nolan live action for me are the best live action. The animated series, that first run before they added Batgirl and changed it up and so forth, but that first, I think 88 episode run was perfect for me. So Hamill will be my Joker, my number 1, but Ledger will be my number 2.
Now with Batman, Bale is not my number 1 Batman. Well, he live action he is, but animated, my animated Batman, man, I have to go with Kevin Conroy.
Indeed, I can see that, and for me, it's probably 1A and 1B, very close. Conroy, and to be able to see Conroy in when they did on Flash and did the whole crossover and so on and so forth, to be able to see Conroy be in that was awesome.
It was. And then they also put Michael Keaton in it. It's in one of them at some point too.
Yep.
Have you, speaking of the Flash TV series, have you watched any of the other live action DC shows they made, like Green Arrow or what's the other one, Gotham?
So me and my wife, huge fans of the Flareoverse. We're actually going through right now and rewatching from the beginning. So, in order, my lovely wife has actually broken down per episode in chronological order every episode that you need to watch in what order through the shows. So, Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, included the Batwoman series, Supergirl, and all the crossovers. So has everything in there. I'm forgetting Black Lightning too. Black Lightning's in that. So she's got them all in order, and that's how we're going to be watching them. And then Gotham, which wasn't part of it. Gotham was so fun. And being able to have it focused more on Gordon and Gordon's early career was great. And that show was more for me about the villains and seeing the Penguin and seeing early Riddler and so forth. That show was so much fun as well. So yeah, we love it so much. We're going back and rewatching it.
I guess I must have been in the minority of I didn't like Black Lightning. I was hoping they'd do Static Shock.
That would have been preferable. I think they just wanted to. I think they wanted to pay homage to the older character, but I think Static Shock would have been the better show. Would have jumped more energy into the whole Flareoverse because there wasn't a lot of young, youthful energy. And I think that might have brought in more fans, younger fans, into that whole Flareoverse.
All right. And I like for me, with the Flash TV series, I like the guy that played Flash in the TV series more than I liked Ezra Miller and the Flash in the live movies.
Hands down, Grant Gustafson is my Flash 100%. He did such a great job in that. I was skeptic at first because I actually saw Grant Gustafson first in Glee. Yes, I watched Glee. I am okay with saying that. But I saw him in that as a villain and then get to see him as the Flash. I was like, I don't know about this. I just saw him singing and dancing around not too long ago. But no, he did a great job. He was a good counterbalance in that first season or two to when Stephen Amell kept coming in and guest starring in it. It was a great counterbalance. In the initial first couple of seasons, he was very lighthearted and jokey before he became brooding. So that he's my Flash.
Speaking of Glee, I only know about Glee because of the one lady actress, the female actress. I don't know her name. She's an older lady, blonde hair. She wears her hair in a certain style. She's older.
Jane Lynch.
She has blonde hair. It's her. That's the only reason I know of Glee.
Jane Lynch is why. Now is her name. Glee for me. So I was in high school. Yeah, I was a theater kid. Shocking, but at wrestling, come on, a lot of actors and wrestlers together doing that. So, yeah. So Glee was like, okay, singing, dancing, and so forth, and a lot of that. So, hey, I checked out Glee. Looks like I lost him. Uh-oh. Now it's the Stephan show. But no, that's how I got into Glee. And then, of course, I'm a nerd. So God bless it. Looks like we're getting them back, ladies and gentlemen. Dun 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 dun. Someone hit his entrance music. He's back.
I'm here.
There he is. His
back,
entrance
yes.
music hit. He's back.
But yeah, Jane Lynch is the only reason I know of Glee.
Hey, that's
been in
fine.
so many others, and she's been in so many other shows that's the only reason I know of her. She's been in Criminal Minds. She was in another show I watched growing up on Nickelodeon. She was on iCarly, so that's the only reason I know of Jane Lynch.
Gotcha. Yeah, she's been in a lot of stuff. You know, she's funny. She's a cool character. Let's put it that way.
She has the style of character she likes to play.
Most definitely. Typecast then.
And hey, you're not the only one that was a theater kid, so don't feel like the Lone Ranger. I was in 3 different plays through school. I played Santa Claus in 2 of them, and then I played in The Wizard of Oz.
There you go. I got to play. I was usually an understudy because I'm the guy who made the sets, did the lighting design, did the sound design, all that type of stuff. So I was always understudying. But I did get to be Puck in Midsummer's Night Dream. And then senior year, I got to be Danny Zuko in Grease. So, you know, every Italian boy's dream, right? To be John Travolta.
I'd rather be the Fonz. Hey.
So,
hit the jukebox, music go on.
There you go.
I played the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz.
There you go. See, that'd be a fun character. If anything in Wizard of Oz, I think I probably would. That would be the most fun character or role to do, because you could act so much. You could put so much into it. Scarecrow and Tin Man, not so much for me.
No. When I first went out to try out for the play, I wanted to be one of the flying monkeys.
You wanted to be one of the monkeys? All right. I can see that. I can see you having fun with that.
But they brought the suit out. They brought the outfit out for the Cowardly Lion and said, you fit perfectly. And I'm like, the hell are you trying to say I fit perfectly? What are you trying to say?
What are you saying without saying it?
Yeah. Tell me I'm a big guy. Tell me. Go ahead and say I'm a big guy. Tell me. Oh man, this has been an awesome episode. I really appreciate you coming on today.
No problem, brother. Anything for you. You know that the wise man's always here for you.
Well, I appreciate that, and hopefully, if time and schedules permit, to have you back on in a later episode.
You know me. I've always got plenty of stuff to talk about and stories. Please, you know I love to talk about.
There's a lot of stuff we didn't.
There's
a lot we didn't get to discuss, and I just didn't want to take up too much of your time with it being a Sunday. And I know, like you said, the people who work, we have to get ready for the next work week.
That is true. So check in with the kids, get things ready, and holler from there, man.
No, you didn't say right. So you gotta say it right, man. It's holla if you hear me.
Yeah, I can't do it justice. So we'll let it be.
You sure you don't want to do a little?
All right. You want to holler? All right. Holla if you hear me.
Okay, it's not bad.
Put a little southern twang on it for you, all right?
A little southern twang, yeah, a little southern twang. All right, I appreciate you coming on the show, and I appreciate everyone who has watched this live or will watch the replay on YouTube. As always, I am your host, the original mogul, Mike Weldon, and I've been joined today by the
eclectic gentleman, Stephan Watts.
Thank y'all so much.
Take care, y'all.